what it is we ask these animals to do behaviors, usually natural behaviors. These aren't circus tricks that we teach them. And if they do the behaviors correctly, they're reinforced. In this case, it's with food. Some of our other animals might be reinforced with a sound. Bacana, our albatross, is frequently reinforced with a clicker. Our penguins are also reinforced with a silver whistle as well. So this is something that's a very common form of training that you'll see in a lot of zoos and aquariums. Now, what I mentioned earlier with the enrichment items, the balls and different things, this is something that's very important because these animals live with us full time and they're very smart. And we like to stimulate them both physically and mentally. Now, what you just saw May and Maggie do is pound. This is something that they would do in the wild. In the wild, otters eat lots of different kinds of invertebrates, foods without a backbone. And some of these invertebrates have very hard shells, things like clams and mussels. And otters will actually use tools to help get these animals out of their shells. So what they'll do is they'll usually take a rock or a harder shell, whatever tool they can get their hand on, they'll put it on their stomach and they'll bang their food against it. So that pound behavior is something that's very natural. Now here at the aquarium, we only give those animals in the shell to them behind the scenes, because if we give them to them in the front of the scenes, they will store pieces of shell in their armpit area. Their skin is almost one size too big and it creates these pockets. And they'll actually store the pieces of shell and then scratch the windows. And that doesn't make it very easy for you all to see what's going on. So we give it to them behind the scenes. Now you may be wondering what's on the menu today. These girls are getting things like squid, clam, and some pieces of shrimp as well. And again, all these are different kinds of invertebrates and all things that they really enjoy eating. Now one of the things that's pretty neat, oh, well actually what you see Jen doing is she's petting down Maggie. And what she's doing is she's not petting her like we would pet our dog or our cat. These are not pets. They're still very much wild animals. However, we do need to touch them from time to time to do medical examinations. We want to make sure that they're kept happy and healthy, and just like you and I, they have to go to the doctor sometime or to the veterinarian. So by training them in certain behaviors where they're okay being touched by people and having their paws touched, their teeth touched, different parts of their body, it makes these behaviors, these visits to the vet much less stressful. So you can see that she's called both May and Maggie out up onto the deck where she's able to look over their bodies to make sure that they don't have any cuts or scratches. So, and she's asking May to go to the rock, and May decided she didn't want to go to the rock, so you see that Jen is not going to be reinforcing her with food. May decided she wanted to go back into the water, and she's just asked Maggie to go back into the water as well. Now this water is pretty cold. If any of you touched your hands in any of our touch pools to touch sea stars or bat rays, then you probably felt the temperature of this water, which is somewhere between 48 and 58 degrees. And unlike other marine mammals, otters have very, very thick fur, which helps them stay warm in this water. Animals like seals and sea lions actually have blubber, these thick layers of fat. Now what Jen just asked May to do is to go into the otter spa. This isn't a normal spa like you and I would like. It's not very warm and full of frothy bubbles, but it's another place on the exhibit that they can go to. And they can actually enter it from below the water as well as above the water. Now she's asking her to go back into the exhibit. And she did as she was asked, so she is being reinforced with that food. Now the otter fur is very, very thick, as I mentioned, and they can have up to 1 million hairs per square inch, which is about the size of a postage stamp. So pretty small area. Now what you just saw was the finish signal, and this lets the otters know that this feeding and training session is over for the day. Now you notice trainers are throwing the food into the water. It's kind of a jackpot. And those of you that are down on the bottom level are going to see some great swimming and diving behavior. This is something that they would very naturally do out in the wild. Now I'm going to be coming up to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for coming and have a wonderful rest of your day here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.